So, you guys, did you hear about the baby dissing a teenager?
The newest beef. The newest beef in the hip hop streets.
The hottest new beef. The baby versus JoJo Siwa.
In one corner, we have platinum selling artist, rapper, Meg Thee Stallion collaborator, the baby, and on the other we have JoJo Siwa of Dance Moms and Nickelodeon fame.
What was the song he said it on? I just saw the clip.
I think it's some sort of freestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, I was confused.
The funniest thing about it is the baby's kids probably watch JoJo Siwa. I'm like, the only way I could imagine him even knowing who JoJo Siwa is through like
his
kids watching Nickelodeon. So like, I'm split on whether or not this was I just needed something to rhyme, so I threw in JoJo Siwa because she was top of mind, or if he really has an issue with this like 17-year-old Nickelodeon star. It's just ridiculous.
It's crazy because I don't even think of her as like a Nickelodeon star. I just think of her as a kid from Dance Moms. That's it. Like, yeah. I don't know her from anything else. That's so random though. I just saw the clip. I was like, what's going on with JoJo Siwa and Depict? Like, what is that? First of all, I didn't remember who that was at first. I was like, who is JoJo Siwa? Who the heck is that? And then I looked at her. I was like, oh. And then I saw the clip. I was like, dang, bro.
I feel like if this becomes an actual beef, I don't know if the baby could win.
It's not an actual beef. It's not
but what I will say is like at the very least, I think he's helped by the fact that this was a freestyle. So maybe if this is like a true freestyle and he was just going straight off the dome, he wasn't nervous, couldn't think of the next word, so he just threw out.
There's a video, and the production was good. Like he did not. That was not a freestyle. It was one of them songs he called. I don't think it was a freestyle.
And then the line just doesn't make sense. I'd read it, but there's just too many explicit words for me to just feel comfortable saying it on the podcast. I need my job.
JoJo Siwa. I don't know.
I feel like JoJo Siwa would have more ardent supporters than DaBaby to win this one out.
I don't know.
And the confusing thing about it is like after he name drops her, he says she let the wrong person get rich. And I'm like, is JoJo Siwa the she? Like she let the wrong. The whole dynamic of this issue, I hope Twitter doesn't let down and like we find out the root of this issue. Maybe she dissed him on one episode of Dance Moms and we just never peeped it. You know, like
there's too much good stuff in here for Twitter to let it go, to be distracted by something. Like this is a gold mine.
I wonder if she responded. Did she say anything?
I don't see nothing on Twitter or nothing, so I don't know. I looked it up. I just looked up. I don't know. I'm really confused. Like I don't think JoJo Siwa was gonna say anything.
Someone on Billboard said, hey, you know, the baby did exactly what he wanted to do, which was stir up controversy and generate views. So maybe that was just what it boils down to. He just wanted to become a trending topic.
He's just like the most unlikely person to go after in a rap song.
Like, yeah, I don't even think it's like, I don't even know if people are mad. People are just confused. We're just like, huh?
It's just random.
What's going on?
All right.
I never thought we'd talk about JoJo Siwa on this podcast, but shout out for her. She's a Nickelodeon star. Came out as gay a couple weeks ago. I feel like that's probably a big deal for a Nickelodeon person, or a Dance Moms alum. So shout out to her. We don't diss you on this podcast, JoJo Siwa. That's just the baby.
I have no issues.
Okay, well, now that's out of the way. Welcome to the 97 Demo Podcast, where we give you the latest in music news and a whole bunch along the way. I'm Nnamdi, joined by my friends.
Hey, guys, it's Noah. Hey.
Noah McGee.
And Avery.
Avery DeLa. I'm going to start saying your social next week if y'all don't start saying your last name.
If you knew.
Oh, you.
I'm not like these other clowns that keep their social security in their notes in the notes app. Like I don't remember, so I keep it in my notes app. Some people do that, surprisingly, but yeah, we need to wake up, guys. I'm tired. I'm not gonna lie. I'm tired as heck.
Yeah,
I'm tired. I'm tired, bro.
I'm feeling kind of good. It's sunny skies out here in Atlanta. Bro. Beautiful 60-degree weather. I'm cooling.
Oh yeah, that's why. It's meanwhile 20 degrees here with snow up to my chest.
Well, speaking of horrible weather and snow, that's kind of a bad but great segue at the same time.
Bro.
Texas had a horrible winter storm this week. Rolling blackouts, no water at a certain point. They didn't have electricity for like 3 days. People were boiling snow.
They still are.
For water, still are boiling snow. And honestly, I just can't imagine it. I did a whole bunch about this in my actual job. So like now I know the intricacies of the Texas power grid system, and we don't have to get into that. But yeah, it was pretty bad. And I felt like a good way to touch on that is to see how some of our favorite Texas area musicians responded to it, and try how they helped did their part to sort of alleviate some of the burden on some of the people living there. So I know Beyoncé, she donated some money through her Be Good charity to help some Houstonians. Is that how we say that? Houstonians in need.
People from Houston.
As well as Solange and Kacey, Musgraves, Selena Gomez. I feel like all of our big Texas people, they showed out for their city and they helped out.
I didn't know Selena Gomez was from Texas.
Yeah, she's from Arlington.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Kacey Musgraves did like a Ted Cruz diss shirt and sold that, and the proceeds from that went to help people. I think it said cruising for a bruising.
That's funny.
That was a good way.
I just can't believe we're not political.
We're not political. We're not political.
But I just can't believe that Ted Cruz was like, "A winter storm is here, and I'm gonna go to Cancun."
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Cancun.
That's a different podcast, but yeah, no, that was crazy.
Can you blame him?
Yeah, I can. Look, it's one thing if you're just a guy named Greg.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm not even getting to that. I'm joking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't get me started, because that'll be the hour.
Exactly.
But yeah, prayers up for Texas. I know, like they say that lights are back. Actually, Avery, did your parents experience any of this, or did anyone go through? What was that like for them?
Yeah, everyone I knew. I have friends still having to boil water, losing power as recently as like last night. My parents had rolling blackouts, so like they weren't able to shower for a couple days. Like the cities were telling them not to use water, and so now I think they have consistent power now, but there are still areas that don't have power. So it's probably gonna last for a couple weeks, probably, if not longer. So
that's crazy.
That is crazy. That is absolutely insane. I mean, prayers out to Texas, man. I hope that gets better, and I hope y'all end up getting full electricity and water back, because I can't imagine what it's like in the thick of winter not having either of those. So
yeah, absolutely. I agree.
They were canceling virtual school. like people didn't have internet, so they couldn't.
Yeah, people can't have internet.
They cancel virtual school. It's
yeah, but no electricity, no Wi-Fi. It's like it's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
I feel that. That's tough. Yeah, prayers out to all those people in Texas who are struggling.
Yeah. And a little bit more positive news. McDonald's is back with another hip hop or celebrity merchandise collaboration. As we know, we talked about them before, because they did J Balvin. Before that, they did who am I
Travis
forgetting?
Scott.
Travis was the biggest one. Yeah.
Biggest one. And now they did Take Keith, which I thought was an interesting but great choice. And then I also wondered if Travis Scott played a role in this because of obviously the Sicko Mode connection. But either way, I think it's cool. I think his deal's like a crispy chicken sandwich, and they're selling some shirts too. I feel like with these stories, I always just look at it from a business standpoint, and I can appreciate the thinking of, let's try to hone in on our audience and partner with someone that, even if it's just a narrow audience, knows, but people know Take Keith, and I feel like he's a recognizable enough name to drive people to the store. So I like these deals, and I like that they're doing producers too.
I wonder, do you think could you see McDonald's or someone producing an album with some of the artists that this just came out of came to my head right now, but can you see them arranging something with artists? I think that would be kind of interesting.
That would be fire. Yo, that's actually if McDonald's is listening, they need to get on that. If by the end of this, they were we're gonna take all the artists we collabed with and make a little 10 track and send it out there, that would be that's something Wendy's would do. I don't know if McDonald's is there, but I know Wendy's would get that done. That's smart.
I can see it.
What interests me is go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
That is interesting. I mean, has Wendy's done it? And the thing, because McDonald's is the one that's getting all these collabs and stuff. Has Wendy's done any collabs with any artists recently or something like that?
I just said Wendy's. I remember Wendy's actually released a mixtape once.
Really?
I remember that was the thing before, where she released a SoundCloud mixtape.
Really?
Yeah, no, that was definitely a thing.
Yeah, Gucci did a collab with Walmart. Remember that? Walmart.
Yeah. Walmart.
I'm joking. Oh, that's Soulja Boy, I think. Whatever.
Yeah,
one thing that I think is really cool about this deal, though, is I don't know if I'd ever see myself wearing a hoodie that has crispy, juicy tender on it, because I just don't know if I like McDonald's that much. But I do think it's cool that they're releasing a vinyl with like a never before, like an exclusive Take Heath track. I think that's a really cool thing.
That is cool.
College graduate Take Heath. He graduated college.
Oh, there you go.
College graduate.
And Meg said she's graduating in fall. I forgot about that. I forgot she was still in school.
She been in college for like 7 years, bro.
She really is.
I'm like, bro.
Hey.
I'm not mad. It's not a bad thing. I mean, if you finish, you finish. But it just feels like she's been like, I went to college. It's like, I'm going back to school. I'm going back. It's like, okay, like.
I would graduate late if I had some of the commitments.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm not mad, but it just feels like
touring and shooting music videos with Cardi B, I probably would have dropped out. So honestly, kudos to her for that. Like sticking with it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, bro, at this point, like, but yeah.
And then to wrap up
I was gonna say, my last thought is I don't know if the merch is ever gonna be as cool as it was in the Travis Scott one, though.
Yeah,
that was legitimately like some nice stuff they had.
Yeah, and then watch when Travis Scott wears this hoodie and this stuff is almost, this stuff is $700 resale. So just Travis Scott wearing it once and it's over.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess to wrap up headlines, we have a bit of bad news. An era of hip hop is over. One of hip hop's power couples has called it quits after 7 long years of marriage.
The fact that we consider
Kardashian is no longer Kim Kardashian West. She's filed for divorce from Kanye. No, what were you about to say?
The fact that we call this, we got to the low point. It was like, this is a hip hop power couple. I mean, it's a bad day.
I mean, but am I lying? Like it honestly kind of was.
I know.
Is there another hip hop couple that was just like public? Because Beyonce and Jay, we know they're the standard, but they're not public. They don't be letting us in. Like Kim Kardashian and Kanye,
for sure. I agree. I mean, bless them. Bless Kim Kardashian. Bless Kanye West. I don't know. I don't really know how to feel.
I hope they're both happy. I think that's the only really thought I have on this. Congratulations to them.
Happy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if congrats is in order, but
I mean, if you're getting a divorce, that's like ultimately
maybe we don't know if it was mutual though. I mean, maybe Kim was like, "Hey," and Kanye was like, "Oh, I might as well do it." Like, yeah, exactly. You know, we don't know. So
I hope
but I will say, as like a little bit of a positive thought, I feel like when this first happened and when this marriage happened, everyone was like, "Oh, it's gonna last like a year," you know. So kudos to them for like proving people wrong to a degree. And you know, I'm just praying for the family. Hope they're able to work that out and move forward and be happy. But
yeah, they were married for 7. They've been together for like 9, right? 9 or 8, something like that.
Yeah, I think around there.
It's been a minute. It's been a while. Yeah.
It's like all of my life. All my adult life, it feels like they're together.
I remember Kanye and Amber Rose and, Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, I was around for that. I remember that.
I was in like middle school when this started happening.
And I remember, that's true. And I remember Kim Kardashian and the basketball player, they were together for like 2 weeks.
Look, she went from like 31 days to 7 years. So honestly, growth regardless.
It was like 72, right? It was like 72. It was
like
31. It was like
70s.
It was bad. It was bad. It was so bad. That was funny. Oh man, yeah, God bless them.
I know this is like a really negative way to think about this, but we are a music podcast. I'm hoping we kind of get an 808s and Heartbreaks part 2.
I didn't want to say it. I don't want to say it.
Okay.
That's not bad. No. When Adele got a divorce, all of Twitter was saying, "Well, we about to get like the best album coming out." I hope Kanye's able. I think sometimes Kanye's biggest problem is he lacks inspiration. So I hope he's able to take this moment he's in and just pour out his heart into the music.
Kanye needs to focus. That's his problem. He needs to focus. He hasn't been focused in a long time. What's the last focused y'all love Pablo and all that stuff. He need a focused album. Like he need to
I think that literally is one of the same. I feel like it's hard to focus when you don't know what to focus on. So I think now that he has like at least I'm assuming this will be a moment for him. So maybe we'll get some,
Hey, sometimes these guys' lives get a little too boring to make their music interesting. So
Jay-Z.
And we all know the album that's like, okay, you didn't know what to talk about on the South. We can all point to different artists and find that album. Except Kendrick. Yeah. Kendrick always finds something, but and Jay-Z Cole, but that's just me. But
Jay-Z did
No, you're right.
Yeah.
It's as they get older. Like Eminem's at a point where it's like stuff he has to say is like not that interesting,
Yeah, you gotta experience life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like Jay-Z, you gotta get slapped in the elevator.
Guys, new releases. I feel like we had a good amount of new music come out. A couple albums, Kevin Gates, Jim Jones, a couple deluxes, Ariana Grande, and Haim.
A lot.
Kelly Rowland dropped an EP. So some new music. What did you guys listen to?
Whew, wow. Surprisingly, guys, don't laugh. this Jim Jones and Harry Fraud. He had a good album was that last year? 2019. He had a good album last year. That was good, actually. So I was actually looking forward to this album, and I actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It's really good. I like it. And of course, my girl Ariana Grande.
That come to mind?
I mean, I've only given it one listen. I haven't really my first time listen. I don't really look at the songs. I just kind of just experience it. So I have to go back, but I really enjoyed it from what I listened to. And I gotta give this Ariana Grande position because clearly I love the album. Love the album.
I was actually listening to it this morning.
But yeah. So I want to hear the songs. I haven't looked at the track. I hope it's just not a bunch of remixes. I hope
it's three. There's three new songs on it. I liked it. I think Positions is one of those albums that has aged really well. I honestly think if I reviewed it today, it'd probably get a higher score. I think I gave it a 7. So honestly, I think I'd bump it to an 8 at this point. But it's a good album. And I listened to Test Drive, and I was a fan of that song. So
I see there's 5 new songs. If we're not counting 5 new songs, counting the 34 plus 35 remix, but yeah, hopefully it's good.
Wait, what's the 5th? What's the 5th? I thought
there's Someone Like You interlude.
Yeah, there's an
interlude, but I don't know. This Kelly Rowland EP, I saw that. I was like, okay, Kelly Rowland's one of my favorites of Destiny's Child. She's like, my personal faves. So, but yeah.
I'm gonna listen to that. Y'all know I love Kelly.
Oh yeah, I thought you was a Michelle person though. I thought you was Michelle.
No, Michelle's my girl. But
Michelle.
I love all Destiny's Child.
Yeah,
but I gotta give Kelly some love.
Michelle's a girl. Coming off of last week, we were talking to Grant about Brent Faiyaz and stuff like that, and then this song dropped out of nowhere. We were like, whoa.
Yeah, no, we weren't even prepared.
I think this dropped like on Monday.
Give us the exclusive on this
one.
We
didn't.
Yeah.
Grant, if you're listening, what's up?
This dropped this came out like Monday or Sunday, right?
Yeah.
It was like Monday.
I liked it. I was a fan of it.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was good. Yeah, a lot. It was different though. It was different. Not what I expected. But yeah.
Avery, what'd you listen to?
Oh yeah.
I listened to the Still Woozy single. I really loved their last one. It's called BS. I don't think this one is as good, but it was a good song. And then this Mahalia song with Rico Nasty. Rico is killing it. Right now.
Rico Nasty.
She's killing it. Miss right now.
Yeah, she's killing it.
She's definitely missing.
I don't think we talked about her album enough. I've gone back and listened to it. I like that album.
It's very good. The Ariana Grande Deluxe is pretty good too. So
I'm surprised no one's talked about Caution, Kate Trinata. That's my guy. That was
I said
good.
That. I said Kate Trinata. I said it was just.
I'm with you. I like the Kate Trinata track a lot. I was a fan of it. Also AJR, they're pop, but I really like their song Bang. So now because of that, whenever I see them, I'll give it a listen. And I thought this EP was solid. And then Haim, I know we don't talk about them often, but they released a deluxe, I believe. And one of the songs is a Taylor Swift. I can't remember the name, but I thought it was a pretty good one.
We all liked their album. We all liked their album.
We did.
And I think Haim was on was featured on one of Taylor's albums. She released like 5 in the last 2 weeks.
I think it was the not Folklore, the one that came after.
Yeah. And then was it the one she re-released and recorded again, or the other one she re-released recorded again?
Those haven't come out yet. Those are coming.
Those haven't come out yet. Oh, guys, while we're there, and I forgot. This was gonna be a headline actually, because I thought it was so significant, and I forgot. So I'm just gonna slip it in here. Speaking of Taylor, the Recording Academy has decided that all of her re-recorded projects can contend for new Grammys. The songs themselves, so she couldn't win Song of the Year or Record of the Year, but Love Story, that re-recorded version could very much so win, or at least be nominated for Album of the Year, Best Pop Vocal Album. And they've decided that the re-recorded stuff counts as new material.
I'd be pissed if I was another artist.
Now that said, I doubt they'd actually give Taylor, honestly, her power.
Yeah,
but still,
I don't know.
doubt they would give Taylor Swift a new Grammy for a re-recorded album. But just the fact that you can qualify on a re-recorded album, I think that alone is at first it felt crazy, but then I thought about the fact that if you release a cover song or a cover album, that could qualify. I guess this is no different than just covering yourself. So
yeah, she's just covering herself.
That's interesting though.
Yeah, that's wild.
She's too powerful. Clearly. So yeah. Taylor Swift. Speaking of being,
I was gonna be the opposite of Taylor Swift is Kanye West, who one time was canceled. And speaking of being canceled,
Was Kanye ever really canceled?
No.
I mean, I guess that's something we can get into. Avery, tell us what we're talking about today.
This was Avery's idea.
Yeah. So we've talked about him for the past couple weeks, but Mr. Morgan Wallen, who is supposedly quote unquote canceled by radio stations, has seen a very high uptick in his streams and has also been on the Billboard 200 at number 1 for like 5 weeks straight. After a video of him came out where he was like yelling the N-word while he was drunk in the street. You know, generally the internet reaction was, oh my gosh, Morgan Wallen, like, don't listen to his music, he's a racist. But obviously people did not take that to heart. So it really got me wondering, what does it take to be canceled in the music industry? And I think a week after, or maybe like last week, Justin Timberlake put out an apology for a couple of things that he has done in his past over the last 20 years regarding Britney Spears and Janet Jackson. And Nnamdi also brought up a few other really great points with other artists that we'll get into. But yeah, that's kind of how I want to intro this. What do you guys think? Do you think Morgan Wallen has suffered adequate consequences for his actions?
Wow.
This is. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
go ahead.
I'm gonna go on a rant, so I want you.
Okay. I was gonna say. This is tough. Not tough for me, like how I feel like, forget Morgan Wallen, I don't care about him. I have no care. Right. I wasn't going to listen to his music. Not like that, but I'm saying this is tough because it's not like the music industry has like an overwhelming, like not overwhelming, but like some kind of oversight, like a chairman or something like that, or some committee that like, okay, this artist can't do this. It's kind of like there's so many different powers that be in the music industry. It's kind of hard to cancel an artist, and I like, if an NBA player did something crazy, he can get kicked out by the commissioner. If an NFL player did something, he can get kicked out, with whatever kind of thing. But with music, there's so many overwhelming bodies. Like you have streaming services, you got, labels, you got artists, you got, independent labels, you got, award shows. It's all kind of things. And canceling somebody, there's a lot of people who tried to be canceled and we say they're canceled and they haven't been. Like this year, like, we didn't even talk about Doja Cat. Like, remember that thing? That thing? People just forgot about that. Like, people just forgot about that for the most part. So, like, it's really tough to cancel somebody 1,000%. Like, wow, nobody's ever going to support them. Because it's in the end, it comes to, like, an individual's decision whether they're going to listen to their music or they're not. Which is tough to get people to stop to do, So.
Yeah. Morgan Wallen has revealed to me 2 truths, I think, about music. One is that I think the music industry as a whole has moved to a place, like as a system where it's sort of firmly saying we no longer tolerate certain things. We don't tolerate, with Me Too, we don't tolerate sexual assault. With, sort of Black Lives Matter, we don't tolerate racism or saying the N-word or anything like that. It's, we now for the first time, I think, have a music industry with like somewhat, at least publicly, morals, right? They'll punish artists who, go against those morals. But the other truth I've seen with Morgan Wallen is it's one thing for the music industry to cancel you, but we now live in a society where the industry doesn't control everything. It's fans. A music industry can cancel a record label can cancel your contract, but fans can still stream your music now. That didn't used to be that way. Before, if a record label canceled your contract and your albums were no longer in stores, that was it for you. You were done. There was nothing else you could do. But those days are gone. There's more power given to the actual artist. So with Morgan Wallen, I've seen that the music industry did kind of try to cancel Morgan Wallen. Everything that they could have done legally, they did. Spotify and Apple Music removed him from playlists. The Grammys said the Country Music Awards said he's no longer eligible for awards. Country Music Television canceled all of his appearances. Country radio stations canceled all of his music. I think one of the paragraphs in here is that in like the week after he said the N-word, 94% of music stations stopped playing radio stations stopped playing his music. The industry canceled him, but fans didn't. And I think fans is sort of a backlash to what they felt was unfair treatment or something being blown out of proportion. They started streaming his music, and that's why even though his radio play went down, Dangerous is in its 5th week at number 1. That's why his streaming went up 300% in the days following the controversy, because now it's not just the music industry that has to cancel you, it's your fans too. And that has brought me to this realization that I think, and I sort of texted this to Avery when we were in our group chat, and I was like, I think there's sort of like 3 different levels of cancellation. There's sort of like a warning, right? That's what I would call this Morgan Wallen thing. And I think it's fans that are sort of giving him a warning, saying like, the industry may have canceled you, but we're going to support you, but don't do it again, sort of thing. Then there's suspended, which is when you are kind of like punished and fans do sort of step away from you for a minute. And eventually they come back though. And that's sort of what I think Chris Brown experienced. We can get into him later. Then the final, actually being canceled, having both like a majority of your fans and the industry walk away from you, that's R. Kelly. And I can't think of anyone else. I've tried.
I can think of, I was going to say R. Kelly's a good example too. I was going to say there's 2 people in my eyes that have truly like actually been canceled.
Ooh, let's talk about it.
Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
And now you brought up R. Kelly as well.
Yes.
Those are 3 that I can think of that have been completely and totally canceled.
And that's basically to say that in music, in the actual music industry, only one person has ever actually been canceled. And a lot of these artists have done horrible things. We've had domestic violence cases. We've had multiple N-words dropped. We have people. Doja Cat was at one point being accused of twerking in front of white supremacists, even though I'm pretty sure that's not true. But like, we've had a whole bunch of things. But the only person who actually has been canceled is R. Kelly. And you have to remember, he was canceled 10 to 15 years after allegations were first made. People knew he was an issue when he married Aaliyah, and she passed away in 2001. That was 20 years ago. So even that, you have to take with a grain of salt. But to Noah's point, I think it is very hard to outright cancel someone in music.
Well, I think one thing we have to point out that's important when you're talking about those cases of R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, and Bill Cosby, even though Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby aren't in the music industry, that was directly something legal. So like, although what Morgan Wallen did was terrible, he's not going to go to jail for this. The reason R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby are like actually canceled is because they're in prison right now.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
That's why they're actually canceled. But like Nnamdi said, because of the fans, if you're an artist that's out here, unless you did something like super illegal and they got like convicted or something like that, fans are gonna still stand by you. Like, let me think. It's like, okay, another guy, Tory Lanez. Okay, Tory Lanez. People want to cancel him, but until he actually, which I don't know what this is like. I don't even know what the like legal parts of this happened, whether he's gonna go to trial ever. But until Tory Lanez gets convicted and actually does some goes to prison or, has some consequences for what he's done, he will not even gain a little bit of like that cancel culture as much. Because you see, this video's coming out, people like, hey, did you shoot Megan? And the people like, oh, get him out. You saw that on what's it called, on the it was one of the Twitter group chats or something like that, on Clubhouse that happened. So like, the fans really have that much power. And with Morgan Wallen's case, if the fans are there going to listen to your music, he's going to be fine. We always talk about artists like Drake and Beyonce, like, why don't they go independent? Because they don't need the labels. It's like, they just have fans. They can do it on themselves. Like, if you have a big enough fan base, it's really hard to cancel somebody.
Yeah,
the even consequences. I will. Well, Avery, go on.
I'll say the consequences that Morgan Wallen has had, like real consequences, would have been devastating like 15, 20 years ago. But now, like, it really doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Like, he probably doesn't care that he's not on the radio. Like, he has people streaming, and he could do a concert. Yeah, he could have a concert tomorrow, and people will show up.
But now I will say, and this is where I think you're going to see an impact. I think this is very much so with Morgan Wallen, a matter of how long will the actual industry choose to cancel him. Because he also had the hype of a relatively new album coming out that already was promoted, that already was getting played before the incident. Now, if they keep this up and they say for the next year we're not going to play him, if he releases his next album, I guarantee you I don't think it'll do as well, because one thing labels still do for artists is you have to pay to get your songs on Spotify playlists and Apple Music playlists. You have to pay to be in New Music Friday. You have to pay to have a publicist book you interviews around and have for your album well promoted.
Be on Rap Caviar.
If those things don't happen, then you could see an impact. But even with Tory Lanez, I think to your point of being, I would put him in my suspended category, right? I think he's very much so the same path as Chris Brown, where there were a lot of people that turned away from Tory Lanez. He was on a very, very big ascent prior to this. He had just had the new song with it's escaping me. It was Jack Harlow, What's Poppin'? That was peaked at number 2. Instagram damn near was about to endorse this man for his little quarantine radio thing. Yeah. He doesn't have that appeal anymore. Right now, Tory Lanez is being limited to club appearances and working with smaller artists. You know, I don't know if you're going to see a Drake or an A-lister work with Tory Lanez. I don't know if you're going to see, you know, him get his work be nominated by any sort of critical organization. I don't know if you're going to see radios actively play his music. That being said, he still has 10 million followers on Instagram, but will it grow? No, because I think it's sort of in this like temporary suspension phase. And that brings me to sort of Chris Brown. And here's how
I want to talk to you about that. Yeah.
Here's like my thing with Chris Brown. Chris Brown represents two things. One, it's a clear example of how much the music industry has changed. Because Morgan Wallen experienced this for saying the N-word. Chris Brown did what he did, and I was doing some research beforehand and you know, trying to see what actual punishment he experienced, and I don't think a label dropped him. You know, I don't think the music industry side of things really gave him a firm punishment. Legally, he was in some heat. Of course, the public was sort of mad at him. But as far as the actual industry, he released an album later that year. The incident happened in February. In December of that year, he released an album. Now, the interesting thing about it, and this is why I call it a suspension, is the album sold significantly less than any of his projects before. I think he sold 100K first week. But the super, and I don't think it was nominated for any critical awards. I think it was panned by a lot of people. But the fact that the music industry still propped him up and he released an album says a lot. Now, why do I say it's a suspension? Because 2 years later in 2011, when he came out with his next album, which I think was Fame,
it was a smash.
That was a smash.
It was a smash.
That debuted. I think it was his first #1 album on the Billboard 200. Multiple singles. He started winning awards again, and then it was sort of like, did this thing even happen? And I think you had fans that were split, but for the most part, he was fine. And I'm not sure that would happen.
No, today. I was gonna say that Rihanna thing wasn't even the last thing he did. He also had the incident. Like, I have the Frank Ocean poster behind me. He had the incident where he assaulted Frank Ocean.
Like the Morning America interview where he like smashed a window. Karuchi. Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Other things.
Like, things didn't end for him with that one incident, and the fact that it still surprises me that he like has success now, and I see artists collaborate with him now, and I'm like, really, like Drake,
and,
really?
You know, I think back then it really is a sign of the times. I think back then it almost became a thing where it's like part of the music industry sort of embraced him as this like bad boy, like, oh, like the bad boy, he doesn't care, he'll do whatever, and like they almost gave him an appeal. Like I will never forget being, I think I was like 12 or 11 when that whole thing happened, and the first single Chris Brown released after the Rihanna incident. Do y'all remember what it was?
What was it?
It was a song called "I Can Transform Ya." And everyone was like, "Are you kidding?"
That was the thing.
You transformed her, bud.
Yeah, you transformed her. Yeah.
And it was sort of like he just embraced his bad boy, and everyone else just sort of let him. And I'm not sure that would happen today. I think Tory Lanez is my example of how differently would the Chris Brown situation be. Because hey, Chris Brown did horrible things, but Tory Lanez shot Meg Thee Stallion. Granted, in her foot, he shot her.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it'll be an interesting case study to see what happens to Tory Lanez in the next year or two.
Well,
you know,
I like that comparison you did, because obviously in both cases it's assaulting women. Popular, you know, in this case, obviously not just like, obviously none of that's okay, but obviously these popular superstars, you know, Rihanna, Megan Thee Stallion, you know, they were both on the ascent. Now, the one thing I could say a difference about Tory Lanez is a big artist. I think he would definitely agree, but Chris Brown was definitely dang near already a pop star at that point. Him and Rihanna, that's why it was such a big deal that they were together, because they were like this huge pop star. And I don't know why this guy comes into every conversation, but if in like 2009 or whatever, before that incident came out, it was like, okay, because Drake was out there. If people were like, who's going to be bigger, Chris Brown or Drake? People would be like, oh, Chris Brown's the guy. He's going to be the guy. You know,
he was on a path to be. People were calling him the next MJ. You know,
that's my point. Big. And now, while he's still big, he's not quite that. Like Chris Brown still like can sell okay. Like he has a song with Young Thug. He was just on the new releases. Like he's done okay, but he's not at that like Drake pop star level that we thought he was gonna be. He's just kind of like he's kind of like Trey Songz kind of like, he's like, oh, he can do well, but he's not quite that pop star we thought he was gonna be. So So he was hurt. He's still doing well, but he's not quite that world mega pop star. Stunted a little bit.
He was stunted by the incident. And I think even if you look at, I looked through the awards he's won since then, and I think a clear way to see that he was never truly forgiven by the industry. A couple things. One, I'm not sure he had a string of #1 albums after that. He always became sort of like a top 10 debut, which top 10 enough, but I think tells you that I don't think radios were trying to play him as much. Mm-hmm. And even from an awards perspective, it's maybe crazy to think about. Chris Brown is never going to, I want to say never, but I think he may have in like the early days, but at least since that incident, never won a Grammy, stopped really winning Billboard awards. He became nominated a lot, but rarely ever won. And I do think it's because the music industry as a whole is still hesitant to fully embrace Chris Brown again and prop him
Guess what
up
he won
to the
for,
level
though?
he was before.
He won
Look
for
at me
fame.
now.
He won for
Right?
fame.
Look at me now. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The album right after.
The album that was right after.
Or at least two albums after, excuse me.
And I guess maybe because remember afterwards, him and Rihanna kind of started hanging out again. So I guess people were kind of started forgetting it a little bit. So I think people are just now like, I think like me, I never forget. Like I can never look at Chris Brown the same ever. But
Yeah,
because afterwards, him and Rihanna, they started hanging out a little bit. Remember they were at like a Lakers game, all that stuff. So there's a lot of things to go along with that. But yeah, Nnamdi, I really like the idea of like levels to it because Chris Brown is a perfect example of like somebody who was stunted. He's still doing okay, he's still fine, but he's never quite the top, that we thought he was going to be, and for good reason, of course.
So to bring it back to Morgan Wallen, obviously what those men did was like literally illegal. Like assault, attempted murder, probably. And what Morgan Wallen did was not illegal, while very wrong, and you'll face consequences for it. Not illegal, and it's not my authority, I feel like, to assign consequence. So what do you, in terms of what Morgan Wallen did, what level would you assign his cancellation? Does he deserve something as bad as what like R. Kelly got, or does he deserve something as light as what he has gotten?
And he's not going to get an R. Kelly. I think just now we haven't seen it. And I think like I forgot what I called it, but I think I called Morgan Wallen someone who's going to end up being unscathed. Because at the end of the day, what he did was a moral issue. People had a moral issue with Morgan Wallen saying the N-word. Yeah. And that puts him in the boat of like Doja Cat and like who are other people that have Justin Bieber. People who in the moment they may face heat,
forgot about Justin Bieber.
Just move on and forget. Now I will say, Avery, to your point, I was sort of surprised by the swift reaction from the country music industry, emphasis on country. I was shocked to see them just cancel everything, remove him. It was swift. And people have pointed out, we had someone on the show I work for who brought up the fact that, there were issues that preceded this, and country music is typically conservative. So it could have been the fact that he also was arrested before, and he had the incident where he got drunk at a club and
was kissing girls.
Was kissing girls and stuff. That there were things that led up to this. But still, I think anytime you have a musician make an issue that's solely a moral issue, a matter of, I didn't like this because of my personal values, this went against what I believe, the punishment isn't ever going to be nearly as high as someone who actually breaks the law or does something that's violent or does something that actually hurts someone physically. And I think you're going to end up seeing that. I so want to emphasize that Morgan Wallen's recording contract wasn't broken, it wasn't canceled, it was suspended. It was suspended. And in a couple months when we all forget, it's gonna be unsuspended. And I'm sure when he releases his next project, radio stations are gonna play him again and he'll be fine. I just think if anything, they were using him as an example to say, y'all need to get it together. Society's sort of moving forward, and we can't keep on this can't be your image anymore.
I agree with you totally on that. I think this is another thing. I don't know if we've touched on this totally, but something like R. Kelly or Chris Brown or Tory Lanez or Justin, just any of these people. What Morgan Wallen did was specifically offensive to the Black community, 100% totally. And country, as we know, is a predominantly, I don't have stats on it, but I think it's safe to assume it's predominantly.
You're good with that one.
I'm pretty good on that, right? I don't want to make assumptions here. I don't have a stat in front of me. It's a predominantly white.
Have you watched the Country Music Awards?
There's only that one country artist, that Black guy who was on Oprah back in the day. I forgot his name.
What's the song you made that everyone loves?
Wagon Wheel.
Oh, that's a banger. But
like a wet. Is that how that goes?
I don't know. But
classic.
The thing with Morgan Wallen is it was offensive to the Black community. So Black people are going to be mad, but the people who are listening to his music are like, oh man, that sucks, but I still like his album. And that's the thing. If a Black artist did something like if R. Kelly does that, R. Kelly was the Black R&B artist. It affects the Black community, like what he was doing to young Black girls. So Black people are gonna feel a type of way, and that's why it was so split down. Like the people who support him, people was like, no way. Chris Brown, that's he's in the Black culture. Morgan Wallen is not in the Black culture.
Yeah, his base wasn't mad at it as much. His base wasn't.
Yeah, but he's not in the Black culture at all. He's not in the culture at all. So,
and I think that's what's again why I was just so shocked. I was so shocked, and honestly, like I've said this before, that I'm now more inclined to listen to country music after this, because the reason why this is so significant in my opinion is because, I mean, his record label had to have known that like his sales aren't going to be impacted, but I think to still come out and wow, I'm just really. Okay, sorry, I thought about something and I had to reroute my point, but because I'm like, they knew his sales weren't going to be impacted. But
maybe,
still,
I don't know.
think the fact that the industry as a whole took such a firm approach to someone saying the N-word, which one would assume isn't a big deal in a country music
step
setting.
forward, for sure.
It's a step forward. But again, I think he's going to end up being unscathed, which is why I put him in like the top category. Same thing with Doja Cat. What did Doja Cat really do? Exactly. She was accused of saying the N-word in a room full of white people. We saw that. She was accused, and then everything else was sorted as hearsay. All of a sudden, white supremacists got thrown around, but I always said, like, can anyone actually prove that any of these men are white supremacists or incels, or that she was, like, doing everything else?
She said herself that they weren't, too, for what it's worth. She said herself.
Yeah,
what Doja Cat did was just kind of stupid. It was like, what were you doing?
It was, and again, that's why stupid. Doja Cat is like, she's fine, right? Like 34, 35 remix is probably gonna chart next week. Like, she's fine.
I think she's gonna be fine. Yeah. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing. Cancel culture is an interesting.
It's weird, man. Like, I gotta ask, when he does his inevitable pop collaboration in the future, and there's a song that goes to like, in the top 10 of the Hot 100 on Billboard, and it's everywhere. Are you guys going to listen to it and think like, hey, remember when he did that thing? Or is it just going to be like Justin Bieber, where like, that's not like my primary thought listening to Justin Bieber is, remember that video?
Well, yeah, I know I won't. I'm not going to lie. Like, I know me personally, like, and I think this is to Noah's point exactly. While Morgan Wallen's actual base predominantly will probably be fine, and they'll stream the hell out of that pop collaboration, me as a black man is still going to remember, hey, like, you did this. Even with Justin Bieber, like, Journals was great, but Journals didn't completely absolve him. Like, I still remember that Justin Bieber did this thing. But at the end of the day, what helps Justin Bieber is he was 11. He was 12. Like, he was.
You could say, oh, he was a kid.
Like, you can at least say, okay, well, he was a kid who was like just being whatever. Like,
he still knew better.
But he didn't know better. Morgan Wallen was a grown ass man.
Also, and, you can't discount the timing of these videos too. That video came out, that Justin Bieber video came out forever ago, and this came out after last June.
Yeah,
when everyone started becoming woke, right?
Yes.
Like,
oh my god.
So, like, I don't know that you talk about being more receptive to country music now. I don't know that these consequences would have happened, before last June. But now,
but only
apparently now.
Only time will tell, though. We still gotta wait and see. I mean, this is still like in 2021 that this happened. We could be looking back a year from now like, yo, did you remember Morgan Wallen? He'd be like, oh crap, he did say the N-word,
He still has to go on his whole damage control tour too. Like, he has to go do all
but
the PR
like,
stuff, and he's going
because right now though, I'm still not over. We're gonna donate to some great black orgs.
Some amazing black orgs.
I'm just saying, time will tell. I mean, Justin Bieber, like, people. There's plenty of black people I know that love Justin Bieber. Like, y'all forget, there's like, yeah, he was a kid though. I was like, oh yeah. It's like time will tell. And obviously Justin Bieber's pop, he's country, little difference. Pop is more, all cohesive, like a lot of black, white, everybody listens to that. Country is more, but
we didn't even talk about Justin Timberlake not facing any consequences.
I do want to, we're getting to JT. We're not done with that, but I do want to emphasize with at least Justin Bieber. Mm-hmm. The biggest reason Justin Bieber wasn't canceled, I think, is his age. Honestly, I think enough people were able to say, okay, he's just an 11-year-old kid. If Justin Bieber made the exact same joke that he made, that exact same thing as a 23-year-old, 24-year-old, it would have been done.
Oh, he was
bad. Especially considering, do you remember what the joke was? Why are black people afraid of a chainsaw? Like that joke?
Yeah, no, I don't remember that. I'm thinking about the song where he's like, one last lonely. I'll think about the song. I don't remember the joke.
Y'all didn't know there's two. There's a song. Then he was like, he tells a joke and he's like, why was a black person afraid of the chainsaw?
Yeah.
Like, run.
Yeah. Whoa, my gosh. Yeah.
So I think if Morgan Wallen were to do that, it would have been a wrap for him. But
give me over.
Yeah. Now.
I do want to say before we get to JT and lighter incidences of cancel culture, I do want to say, as we talk about all this and we sort of use R. Kelly as the spectrum, R. Kelly still has 4.7 million monthly listeners on Spotify. So even when you say canceled, we may have canceled him, but he's, for a lot of people, especially a lot of people in the black community, older people in the black community, he's still R. Kelly. And we can separate the person from the music, even though the person makes money off of the music. Like,
See, I don't
still exist.
But R. Kelly and Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein are at a place where if you hear someone say like, "I don't think they're that wrong," you're like, "What? Like, what did you say? Like, really? Like, I don't want to know you anymore."
I've been fortunate enough not to run across the R. Kelly stance where like, I don't think he did it. I'm fortunate, like, you know, but there are people who
no one can say the man made a tape. You know, he did it.
I know that. But Nnamdi, you know, we saw. I hope you guys saw clips of the documentary. If you've seen that terrible what's it called? I forgot what it's called.
It's like the documentary. It's like it's not even like we don't think he did it. It's that he did it, but we don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
No, but remember there was like people or his fans like, I don't think he did. They're just trying to bring a black man down. Like, there's still. I've been fortunate not to come across those extreme fans like that. So I mean, R. Kelly's in prison, so he's totally got what he deserves. So that's if people listen to music, whatever, he's in prison where he needs to be. So that's how it is.
And then I feel like, to Avery's point, if we're bringing it back to like someone like Justin Timberlake, to me, the fact that Justin Timberlake was never canceled is because the time when all that happened, the music industry was a completely different place. Who was canceled in his incidents? Completely different. What'd you say?
The other people, his victims basically face the consequences of his actions.
Let's talk about that. What do you guys want to go with?
Janet was blackballed from everything.
Yeah, where do you want to go first?
I mean, I know what I want to do. I want to start with the line in his apology that I feel will set up this conversation really well, because it's the one thing he said in his apology that I was like, oh, this man is spitting.
Go ahead.
And it's on the second page of the apology.
Which graph?
He says, first graph, second page. He says, okay, the industry is flawed. It sets men, especially white men, up for success. It's designed this way. As a man in a privileged position, I have to be vocal about this. Because of my ignorance, I didn't recognize it for all that it was while it was happening in my own life, but I do not want to ever benefit from others being pulled down again. The industry, honestly, before a solid 2016, 2015, was set up so white men could succeed. It was set up so that after the Super Bowl, your Justin Timberlake would be fine, but Janet Jackson would be the one who's perceived as being promiscuous and nasty and evil and disgusting for what she did, and who's, gonna be canceled. It's set up so that when Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears break up, Justin can make a video depicting Britney Spears as a cheater and go on a radio show and say, "Oh, I took her virginity." But Britney Spears I'm trying not to curse, but it's like the harlot girl, Jezebel girl who did all this stuff for that boy and who's corrupting the mind of all of our children. The industry was designed that way so that men like Justin Timberlake could do things like appropriate Black culture. Because honestly, I get he's invited to the cookout, but we never talk about it. Appropriate Black culture, demean Black women. Because let's not forget, here's what drives me crazy about JT. Let's not forget that he had ample opportunities to own up to both Janet Jackson and Britney Spears. In 2006, Janet Jackson did an interview, I think either on Oprah or Ellen, where she said, "This dude sort of just left me hanging." And during the run out of all of this, I had to suffer alone. And Justin Timberlake responded by dissing her in a song, saying something like, "Girl, stop mumbling. You're saying my name, whatever. When Prince, this is a whole another thing. When Prince once said on Justin Timberlake, Justin Timberlake says sexy back, sexy never left. Justin Timberlake made a diss saying, "Oh, I don't see Prince on the charts anymore. Whatever. Britney Spears, just watching that documentary and seeing that, he went on radio shows demeaning her and did all these things and just didn't care. That's why this apology just didn't sit well with me, because the man had ample opportunities years after the incident that he just didn't take. And it's because he could benefit from a system, this case being the industry, that is literally designed to prop him up and put everyone else down. Rant over.
Well said. I do want to say that, this has come up in a lot of things. People like to say, back then that was bad, or back then, that was okay, and now it's bad, other pop references. I'm not gonna
Chris Harrison.
I'm not gonna do it.
You need to get into that.
I'm not gonna get into that. But the thing, what's so crazy about this whole thing, the Janet thing in particular, is this shouldn't have been a thing at all. Why didn't Janet and Justin Timberlake just come out like it was a mistake? Janet Jackson she didn't want to. It's not like she pulled her, her shirt off.
She didn't do anything.
It didn't like
standing there.
Yeah, but it's not like JT meant to, to rip it off like for that to show. It's like the fact, and I was speaking to somebody about this the other day. I was like, the fact that just wasn't a thing at all. Like, obviously the story because, of what happened. It was on national TV, the Super Bowl. Like, the fact that Janet had to get canceled. Like, I get Janet shouldn't have been canceled. But even though Justin Timberlake, he's done a lot of other terrible things, he shouldn't have been canceled for that either. It was just like a simple mistake that happened. Why can't we? It's crazy. I know it's crazy. It's crazy because in 2003, I was only 6 years old. But like, I can't imagine now people getting canceled about. I was like, wow, really?
Because it goes like the more I read on it, it goes so much deeper. It's like people didn't believe Janet. Like Janet Jackson literally said this. Les Moonves, who was the head of CBS at the time, she literally told him this wasn't on purpose. He didn't believe her. He believed wholeheartedly that she did it on purpose. She wanted attention and was mad when she wouldn't kind of grovel in the way Justin Timberlake did and beg for his forgiveness. Multiple people have written about that. People have talked about the fact that decades later, when Janet Jackson released a book under some Viacom CBS side property, when Les Moonves found out, he was pissed about it, and he was like, "Well, that's going to be the last time she ever does." Like, he held a grudge because ridiculous. It's as simple as he didn't believe a black woman when she said, "Hey, I didn't do this. Like, this wasn't on me. What do you want me to say?" And that's just society at the time. There was no room to give black women the benefit of the doubt. We didn't start seeing that for the last 10 years.
Les Moonves in the last 3 years has stepped down as his position at CBS for being a very horrible human being as well. So,
I mean,
these are the kind of people that were in power at the time, right?
Yeah,
and still are. So,
Justin Timberlake straight up did not have the balls to be like, "Hey, this was a simple mistake. Why can't this just be dead? It was a simple mistake. We both did not want this to." I mean, it was a simple statement. He didn't have the balls to do it, and it was a simple statement that he was not able to do. And this, even though this is an example of a guy not getting canceled because he played the game right, like Nnamdi said, he groveled toward that guy. He did what he could do to get away with what with what happened, and what he did to Britney was just terrible. I was like, wow, I can't believe he said those things. And it's kind of unfortunate now because the damage is already done. You already profited off those songs and those albums, and you gained notoriety off those things already. And it's kind of too late. Avery said this before. Apologies don't really matter, but
especially when they're damn near 2 decades later.
2 decades later, bruh, come on now.
And you see the line, and it's in the JT one too. The final line in all of them is, "I will be better." And props to Rachel Lindsay who said this, then be better, prove it.
Be better.
But
Stop it.
My final question to y'all, we should probably move on, but my final question is, what does it take? To sum up this whole conversation, what does it take to be quote unquote canceled, whatever that means, in the music industry? Does it take something illegal, horribly illegal?
A conviction.
I think apparently it does.
It takes a conviction to me, because artists
and
have
even that if you're big enough.
Yeah, artists. Yeah, exactly. People, but unless you get caught on camera doing something ridiculous, like killing somebody, something ridiculous like that. Artists have a lot of power, and fans have a lot of power. That fans and artists are closer to each other than ever. They can literally are a DM away. Fans can keep their favorite artists popping, and artists can go to those fans to stay popping. It's very difficult. And cancel culture, I get it. People are like, oh my gosh, cancel culture, it's ruining, but cancel culture is not that successful.
It's just consequences, honestly.
It's just I know, but I'm just saying the idea of cancel culture, it's not that successful. It's hard to cancel somebody.
It really is not successful at all.
So, yeah, man. Consequences have to be made. Morgan Wallen. This is a result of not having an overwhelming body of over the music. There's so many different.
Yeah, streaming has decentralized the power. So I think literally any other industry, someone can actually be canceled, but with streaming, anyone can stream your music, and even worse, I don't have to tell you that I'm streaming someone's music. I could listen to R. Kelly and not tell anyone and be fine and still make this man money.
It's stuff like that. Say you were a journalist and you did something crazy, and you're like, oh, all the papers, you're not working for anybody, so you just write your own blog, and your fans will listen to your blog. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. It's like people will read your stuff still. It's like, I don't know.
You just have to hope it doesn't end up on your Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year.
Exactly. So yeah.
Great
combo. I don't know if we came up with a solution.
I don't know.
There's no solution to the problem. People just have to do better and not support people who do wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so I like that conversation. Let's wrap it up. I'll get into the Billboard highlights. Nothing too crazy this week, but on the Hot 100, shocking. I was well, no, this actually was pretty shocking. On the Hot 100, Up by Cardi B debuted at number 2. Fairly impressive.
Really?
I believe this is the highest. I just learned this, the highest debut for a solo female rap song since. Any guesses?
Solo female rap song.
Bodak Yellow?
No. Apparently no. Debut is the key word, not like rise. Debut.
With no features on it. Nicki Minaj for sure.
No, Lauryn Hill.
I was gonna say Lauryn Hill.
1998. So that's a stat. It's a huge accomplishment. But you guys, Driver's License in its 5th week beat out Cardi B's Up. Like the power of this song.
It's incredible. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's a good song. I listened to it. Now the SNL skit was good, but that's just
really good.
You know what's so crazy about this Up thing? It's like, even though I'm not doubting it's a big song, clearly it's number 2, but it just didn't feel bigger than WAP. And I'm like, wow, it debuted number 2, which is like, right there. So it's crazy. So
impressive. Also, shout out to The Weeknd Save Your Tears, which hit a new peak of number 4. I believe after this is the Super Bowl stream finally hitting in. The next thing I'm gonna shout out on this chart is Cry Baby, Meg Thee Stallion, the baby. I was curious to see what the video would do, how the video would boost it, because it wasn't trending as high as I bet they hoped, and I believe it pushed it to, I want to say 28.
Yep, you're right.
Okay, it pushed it to 28 from 43. So that is the power of a video still holds weight. But I just remember listening to this album and thinking this was like clearly one of the songs that would do well with radio. So I wonder if it's gonna keep on going up.
Personally, I don't like the song, but I'm not surprised at all.
Really?
I'm not surprised.
After watching the video, for me, it sort of felt like a DaBaby song featuring Meg Thee Stallion because she has a second verse and he has a really long first verse.
It's called Cry Baby. His name's DaBaby.
Yeah.
There's a baby crying sample. I mean,
I have it stuck in my head right now after like thinking about it.
Hey, that's the goal for them. Wait, terrible. Young Blue released a song featuring Drake. Have I listened to this? I don't know if I listened to that song.
Drake is on everything, so don't be surprised.
No, but that's a Young Blue's like Drake. I'm telling you,
don't be surprised when Drake featured on my song.
He is releasing music with new artists to stay relevant. That's the key.
He does it,
and he does it all the time.
They usually snatch that Block.
You know what's so crazy?
JB song.
Yeah, I agree. You know what's so crazy? I was just thinking about that. Remember he did Versace with Migos? It's crazy. Yeah. And look at Migos now. It's crazy. Drake is just. He's too strong.
Effect, bro.
He's too strong. He's too strong.
And then over on the Billboard 200, we just talked about it, and I'm really upset. I'm not upset. It's not. I'm impartial. But Morgan Wallen is Dangerous is number 1 again. So canceled where 5 weeks at number 1. I'm pretty sure that is strictly streaming and sales.
Look at number 2 though.
Radio play. And then highlights the weekend. Got the Super Bowl treatment. That debuted at number 2 and number 1 on the Hot R&B chart. So shout out to Abel, who was doing his thing.
I gotta ask you guys, have you guys heard of Pooh Shiesty? He's like
he's like
Chicago. He's like, I don't know. He's like the Polo G of this year. Remember last year was like, who
he's kind of blowing up right now.
Yeah, it's like, who is Pooh Shiesty out of nowhere? People blowing up out of nowhere. Like, I don't know. We gotta listen to it. That's homework.
Because I hope I'm not lying. I want to say he's from Chicago. Oh, I'm a liar. He's from Memphis, Tennessee. Shout out Memphis.
Interesting. Dope.
And that's my little Billboard highlights this week, you guys. That's what we got. Some projects of the week.
We have pictures now.
So let's just go down. Let's go. Just go, Avery. And this was one of your faves from last week.
Yeah, the new album called Super Monster by Claude. They are the first album on Phoebe Bridgers' label Satisfactory, the subsidiary of Dead Oceans. So this is their first album they've released as a label. Claude is an artist I had not heard of before, but they're very good. I heard someone describe it as bedroom pop, and I thought that was like the perfect way to describe it. If you like Clairo, like you'll love Claude and you'll love this album. There's nothing like super groundbreaking on it, but it's just like I really enjoyed everything on it.
Any songs that you want to recommend for people who want to just give it a try?
I like all of them. This Town is really good. Gold is really good. Throwing Rocks at Your Window is really good.
I got a question too. Since this is under Phoebe Bridgers' imprint, didn't he work on the album? Is she executive producer? Is she featured?
I think she's involved on it at all, other than like she might be a producer. She might have like, I don't think she wrote it. I don't think she was a part of any of the like recording. I think this is all Claude. And I think
that's dope too. I think that's dope that she didn't really touch it. Yeah. I
remember dope. When they announced the label, she said like she's doing this because like if she finds someone on the internet that she likes, she's just gonna like sign them.
Dope.
Who she's a fan of. So that's awesome. I think this
might be
the first person.
Shout out Phoebe.
Yeah, shout out Phoebe. That's dope. I think it's cool that she kind of didn't even touch it. She's like, just put it out. Yeah.
Also, this album art is really cool too.
Yeah, it makes me happy.
Some good album art.
Makes me happy.
It was like an acid trip.
It really do. That too. Okay. Mine. This is a long album cover. Album name, and this is actual name. King Push, The Darkest Before Dawn, The Prelude. Pusha T. Yeah, I've been on my R&B tip the last couple weeks, but now I was like back to working out, so I needed a good workout album. I was between this and Daytona. I was very close to this close to
for me, but I understand why you picked this.
No, Daytona's a better album. It's a better. I still want to be that guy. It's a masterpiece, but this one is really good. Pusha T, I think people sleep on, like, he's just steady. Like, he'll do like his 80, 90,000, 100,000 and just make his money and dip. Like, he just steady artist. He's been doing it for 20 years. So yeah, Pusha's one of the best to do it, man. So yeah, Pusha T. Songs that I like, Untouchable. What's another one? Untouchable. He has a song with The Dream on there called MFTR, which is good. He has a song with Jill Scott called Sunshine, which is incredible, actually. So,
can you give us a good Pusha T impersonation?
Yeah. There you go. You already knew. Yeah. That's one of my faves too. I love Cali.
Some of them was underrated.
It was underrated.
I guess I'll go.
I think people just don't love it as much as Isolation, because Isolation is just incredible,
Yeah.
I guess if it's my turn, I guess I'll go.
Hey, shut up! I hate you. You're a boho. That was funny.
I chose Sin Miedo del Amor y Otros Demonios by Kali Uchis, which I believe translates. Let me show my Spanish 3. I believe translates to without fear of love and other. I'm gonna assume that means demons, because I don't know what that means, or I'm gonna assume it's demons.
Is it demons? Is it demons?
I don't know, but demonio. What else is I feel like demonio should mean demons. If it doesn't, I'm gonna be pretty upset.
Pre-AP Spanish to work.
Yeah, this album came out a while ago, and actually, funny enough, what put me on is I was watching I don't know if it was Chloe or Halle, but one of their Instagram stories, and they had a song from here playing, and I was like, I like this song, and I don't think I ever gave this album a real chance. Besides listening to it, like skimming it that one week we were doing best of, I didn't really sit with it. So I went back, and it's a really good album. Like, Kali Uchis is really good at putting together albums. Like, they may not be, all the time super popular, get all the praise they deserve, but I think she's absolutely a great composer. My favorite song, honestly, is like the intro. It's something completely different. It sounds just like almost like ghostly. She's singing in a deep voice. I was playing it for my mom, and she was like, "Who's this?" I was like, "Mom, you don't know not one word she's saying." My mom was still like, "I don't know, but it feels good." Like, she was like, "Is this jazz?" I was like, "Kind of." La Luna Enamorada is the name of the intro.
She's very versatile, because obviously you go from, she had a mixtape way back in the day and her EPs and stuff like that, to Isolation, to this. None of them really sound the same. Like, she went straight Latin pop dang near on this, and it worked. So
yeah, and can I say something that I feel needs to be said? Why isn't Kali Uchis being nominated for Grammys? I'm not gonna lie. After Isolation and now this, it felt like a really, really like blatant.
Isolation should have easily.
It is like a blatant omission, and I'm not sure. I think it's because she's. That would have gotten us a ton of praise.
Now, I gotta say this though. You know what's so crazy? I looked this up. She's from Virginia.
Yeah.
Kali Uchis from Virginia. She went to the same high school from Remember the Titans. Remember that football team from Remember the Titans? She went to that high school randomly. I know, it's random. Cool. I think Callie was just in the weird headspace where she's like almost mainstream, like she's kind of mainstream, like she can work with those artists like Tyler the Creator and stuff like that, but she's not quite there yet. She's kind of like in the Georgia Smith-ish, and it's kind of like towards together too. She's kind of.
And honestly, something I'm noticing about the Grammys and the Recording Academy as a whole is like when they can't figure out a genre for you, they'll skip you. If you're not big enough to force them to choose, they'll skip you.
Exactly.
Like we saw that with The Weeknd, we see that with her, and I think I could see them looking at this album and saying, "Is this R&B?
Yeah.
Can we just put it? Can we put it in the foreign language category?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
They'll just skip it if they can't. If they can't.
She's speaking Spanish the whole album. The whole album.
On that Rosalia level, I think that's where she deserves to be. That, like,
yeah, she's just a
kind of star.
She's just as talented, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you have it. You'll catch, I'm sure, songs from all three of these on our Projects of the Week, which is going to be out on, when do we do that? Tuesday
probably.
That's right.
Yeah, check out Projects of the Weeks on Tuesday. That does it for this episode of the 97 Demo. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Be sure to like, share, subscribe at the 97 Demo on everything. I believe we'll be off next week.
Probably.
But I'm going to try to get us to do something. So like we're going to be off, but like, will we? Stay tuned. That's all, and we'll see you guys next week or the week after. And that's my mom in the back of the shot for our YouTube viewers.
Hey, Mom.